to another trade recap, fellas, where we go over the trade that we took and the market conditions for today. Without further ado, let's just jump right fucking into it, boys. Why don't we do that? You know what I mean? So, today, we need to reset this to the 30th. I hadn't looked at the news on my computer. Just kind of opened it, but I looked at it on my phone, so that's how I knew that we had unemployment claims this morning at 6:30. So, what were we looking at? Now that we knew what the news was for today, what was the analysis? What did we break down? What did we cook into, right? So first off, as always, let's start off with high time frame, the 4-hour time. So 4-hour draw on liquidity. We had this 4-hour fair value gap here, and then we also had this 4-hour draw on liquidity right here, which we got swept out right before market opened. Right, you can see swept out before market opened. Started to capitulate down to the downside. Right, from here, what am I looking for? So we have this hourly draw on liquidity here, which was marked with this leg here. We have this 30-minute, which we'll kind of break down into just a second. Is there any other hourly confluences that I have? No. So this is the only hourly confluence that I had marked out, this hourly draw on liquidity. And I mean, there's also this hourly draw here, which I ended up using for a take profit, essentially. So now we can scale down to the 30-minute. We can see that I had this 30-minute IFG marked out. The reason I had that marked out was just for bearish confluence, right? Because we were in this fair value gap, this 4-hour fair value gap. I just had this as bearish confluence. I thought price would maybe, if price didn't want to push up here, you know, if we hadn't pushed into this by market open, I was going to potentially use this as a draw to go to the downside, right? So we have this 30-minute IFG, and then we also have this 30-minute just normal fair value gap here. Scale down, we could see that before market opens, we push into this IFG, and then we capitulate down to the downside, which through there we sweep out this 5-minute draw on liquidity right here, right, which was resting inside of this fair value gap here. And something that made me strengthen my opinion of this fair value gap was that you could see that we were pushing pretty volatile through this area, right? So you could see that we have boom, fair value gap here, but we also have a fair value gap here, you know what I mean? Then we also have a fair value gap over here, which is also in the same kind of range here. So we can see that we're moving pretty volatile through this range right here. So I was looking for price to either push into this and then have a hard reaction up to the upside, or push down and have a hard reaction down. You know what I mean? So I didn't really end up using this all too much, but I did see that, you know, hey, if we swept out this 5-minute liquidity to the downside right over here. Why the fuck is that not looking right? I don't know. Anyways, so you can see that we sweep out this liquidity here, right? With this candle, push down, sweep liquidity, and see, this isn't enough for me to go long. It's just a sweep and a fill for value gap, right, and a respect of it. This isn't enough for me to go long. I needed one more confluence. That confluence was disrespecting these fair value gaps here. As soon as I seen that we disrespected this fair value gap, because I mean, we could disrespect this one all day, right? But we still have this one above it, right? So once I seen that we disrespected this fair value gap here, I knew that market wanted to push higher, right? So I entered, and I got filled right here, which is exactly where my line is at. Got filled. I originally had my stop loss under this fair value gap, but then I realized that we also had this fair value gap here, right? So I put my stop loss under this fair value gap, and then the same thing kind of with this range here, how we're moving pretty volatile through it, right? You can see that we're also moving pretty volatile through this range right here. Right, we could just kind of mark that out. I mean, it's even this whole thing, you know what I mean? Like, we're moving pretty volatile through this entire range, you know, like boom, massive move up, boom, massive move down, boom, massive move up. We can see that price just is very, very volatile through this range, right? So once I seen that we were coming down, I noticed how volatile we were through this range here. So I really wasn't that fearful, right? I mean, sure, we were in some drawdown straight off the bat, but that's okay. We still had some time to recover, and recover we did. So put my stop loss under here. We filled in this 1 minute for value gap after disrespecting this one, right? And then from there, market just fucking shit. It just said, I'm not even gonna lie with you. Put our first take profit here, which would end up being like a 0.67, which kind of sucks, not gonna lie. And then I put my second take profit here at these highs here, which didn't suck so much. And that ended up being a 1.36, or like a 1.37, something like that. I know I got filled in, like right here, right? So technically probably like a 1.4, after getting filled and whatnot. And then I had my last and final take profit all the way up here. We didn't end up filling it. I ended up getting stopped out at break even, but that's okay, you know. So the reason I got, you know, there's no technically draw on liquidity here. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like there's a high or a low there. The reason that I placed it right here is just because if you make a box for your for value gap, for an hourly for value gap, boom, that's the 50% mark of this for value gap here, right here. So I had just put 50% mark of this hourly gap right here as my third and final take profit, which we didn't end up hitting. I mean, we got pretty close to, I mean, which is fair. So got pretty close to hitting the third and final take profit, but I mean, we closed out most of the position. I think there was only like one contract I had left running for this. But yeah, fellas, I mean, that's really it for today. Taking a dub. I mean, January price action has just been rough. It's been absolutely fucking rough. I'm not even gonna lie. But we get back after it. We grind. We in these trenches regardless. All the months of trading meme coins really helped me not give a fuck, and really helped me build my emotions. You know, like to where it's like I'm not so emotional. You know what I mean? And that's okay. That's okay. Everything happens for a reason, fellas, and just remember that you might be into the trenches, you might be down in the dirt, but you know what? God has a greater plan for you, you know what I mean? Like, you might not see it, you might not see the bigger picture yet, but God has everything happen for a reason. Everything that's happening to you right now is for a reason. You might not see it yet, you might not understand it yet, but it's for a reason. You know what I mean? Everything that has happened to you in the past, maybe you understand, you know, if it was good for you or not, or maybe you understand the lessons that you learned from that experience now, or maybe you're not. Maybe you're still trying to figure it out. Maybe you're still trying to learn, and that's okay. But as long as you know that everything happens for a reason, you're gonna be just fine. You know what I mean, fellas? Everything happens for a reason, and at the end of the day, it's God's plan and not yours. So stay up, fellas. Stay real and righteous. I'll see you later, fellas. Peace.